Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy GZTV back with another video, and I know I'm blocking my sign, but we gotta have Young Harleasy in the back just for this video. We're doing it just for the moment here. I copped the Jack Harlow KFC meal. That's kind of an update of my life. But anyways, we have a Post Malone album to review. I'm going to talk about a bunch of the tracks, and then I'm going to talk about the general notes of the album. Let's get straight into it. I'm kind of on a strict time schedule because I got to get other videos out. Starting with the song Reputation, we're going to go track by track. Great vocals, a lot of emotion being shown, a great beat switch. It kind of takes you on a journey throughout this 12 Carat Toothache album, which is pretty conceptual, surprisingly, for Post Malone. There's a weird vocal effect at the end, but other than that, it is pretty damn solid track. Post Malone always wants to open albums on a bang, but anyways, Cooped Up, I'm not going to dwell on it too much. But Roddy Ricch kind of fell off, but I don't like the slander on Roddy Ricch. He has great music in the past. I went to see him in concert. I absolutely fucking loved his set. So I don't really like slandering his name too much. But, I'm ready for him to fall on. I'm rooting for him. This song gets better each listen. It is a single on the record. So again, I don't really want to talk about it too much conceptually. Lemon Tree. When I first heard this beat, it kind of reminded me of XXXTentacion, what he was able to do on his 17 album, Depression and Obsession. You guys know that track. You can find some familiarity. And speaking of X big announcement, tomorrow we are going to be reacting to the new songs to me that he dropped on this Look at Me project. His label dropped it. This Lemon Tree track, anyways, is the symbolic of kind of the soreness of certain relationships. Definitely has some Scottish inspiration. Posty could rock a mean kilt. This might be longer than 10 minutes because this is a very well put together video. He takes a villainous approach on the song. Next is Wrapped Around Your Finger, which is a lot of people's favorite. He owned the sound that is on this record. It's very poppy. It's very Circles-esque off of Hollywood's Bleeding, which people didn't really like that album, but there were definitely highlights on it. I love Post Malone in this lane and his own sound. Talking about girls, not being impressed with his materialism. He appears very clingy on this track. I Like You, a happier song. The queen of rap, pop, R&B, whatever you want to call it, Doja Cat is here to make a stand. Pray for her vocal cords because it appears that she will not be performing at any concerts anytime soon because of that issue. It's a very cliche sounding track in itself, but Doja Cat comes through with some very sexy vocals. Post Malone seeming to value a girl's body over her personality here, the lust in him, very sinful topics he's talking about. But anyways, I Cannot Be, a sadder song. Gunna's on here, free Gunna, pray for YSL. We always do. I always hope that artists made record labels do good. Speaking of which, Cactus Jack right here. Memorable hook on this one, pretty catchy. Gunna meshes with Post Malone very well on this track. I love the effortless cadence that Gunna brings to his song. He fits in anywhere, everywhere. But anyways, up next is Insane. Perfect song for concerts. It's definitely arena built, kind of the hype song on the record. A very interesting beat, but it's hype. It's pretty much like trappy. He's got some very cool flows on here. Honestly, the subject matter is pretty savage on Post Malone's part on here, but let us move on to the Love-Hate Letter to Alcohol. Possibly one of the best put together songs on here conceptually. It is kind of corny, but I don't know. Fleet Foxes, I've heard of them. I'm not sure where I've heard of them, but I've definitely heard of Fleet Foxes. They're pretty iconic. I love the sound of this record. Obviously touches on alcohol, the pros and cons. Very, very epic, very grand sounding song. He's talking about how alcohol gets him in bar fights and gets him in trouble a lot. He blames stuff on alcohol on the track. I don't know why he would repeat the song title in the chorus. I think he could have done more with this track. It's a really good track, but I think he definitely could have done more with it. Alcohol helps him deal with emotions, so that's kind of the pro of it. I'm assuming Fleet Foxes did the inspiration, or the instrumentation. There's a pretty crazy ending to it. I don't know what happened at the end there. It sounded kind of intense. But anyways, moving on to Wasting Angels, because this is a pretty cool collab here. Kid Laroi fits his vibe. These two have been They didn't come up together, but they definitely came up on the same sound. I like this song. You know, people are gonna hate on the Kid Leroy all they want, but I like this song. Like the message of the song is kind of like what could have been. Like we're wasting our time, we're wasting angels. Another pretty epic, grand sounding song. Euthanasia is the next track. He sounds like a psychopath on this song. He seems very scattered, thought wise. You know, the song sounds really good though. You know, he's kind of sorry. I'm writing stuff on paper. You guys might not be sorry. Say sorry to me, or you might not be mad at me for that actually, because it's very put together. He's hardly ever sober. He's kind of discussed that on this track. Shout out to Chief Keef. Love the vocals on it. Euthanasia is a pretty fucked up concept. You know, maybe he, like, at the end, he kind of talks about ending the misery. He might sound a little suicidal on the track. It's a pretty disturbing track. Just the idea of euthanasia, if you didn't know, euthanasia is pretty much like think about putting a dog down, but doing that to a human. You know what I mean? Except, like, it's obviously medically induced comas and stuff like. It's kind of messed up, you know? If someone has a really bad illness and they want to put someone out of their misery, that's kind of what euthanasia is kind of like. It's painless process, obviously, scientifically proven to be painless. But anyways, When I'm Alone is very MGK-like, very punk. He has a couple of his punk moments on the record. Toxicity at his finest is discussed on here and kind of portrayed. He's very greedy. He appears very greedy on this track. Talking about some toxic role play going on in relationships. He sounds great though. Good bridge. He's very down bad. He hits rock bottom. It kind of probably discusses how relationships lead him to some of his lowest points, and that is definitely a big subject matter on this record. Waiting for a Miracle. I don't know why he said fuck like that on the track. It's very zesty sounding. Zesty ajit. Seems like he's very dependent on other women, maybe? Depending on something great happening in his life. I don't know. One right now, The Weeknd definitely left his mark on this record. It's obviously a single. It's a good song, but yeah, let's move on to new recording 12, January 3rd, 2020. Couldn't find a song title for it. You know, it's a very raw feeling track, but the idea of the title kind of distracted me throughout my listening. I found it kind of corny. You know, he definitely showed off his skills on this one with the guitar and the singing. His voice without autotune is kind of cringy. You know, Post Malone, if you guys didn't know, definitely uses autotune. Do not talk shit on Travis Scott. He literally uses autotune. Post Malone literally does. I wasn't sure. I feel like Post Malone was trying to sound like someone else on here, but yeah. And then I realized at the end it was just the Euthanasia, him singing Euthanasia without instrumentals or anything like that. I don't know what the point of that track was, but it was cool, I suppose. Waiting for Never. I was pretty impressed. You know, this is like the first bonus track in the deluxe on here. It was a pretty good song. It was pretty nice. Another relationship song. You know, he had pretty good flows on that one. But anyways, moving on to Hateful, the second bonus track. Very rock influenced. You know, talking about how a girl wishes the worst on him and wishes death on him. And relationships that have potential but fall apart. Kind of talking about that type of subject matter. Also kind of admitting to his own wrongdoings in relationships. But the general notes for the album before I get to the outro. Very alcohol themed, of course, talking about his addiction to drugs and alcohol. That's not unnormal. He literally has an album titled Beer Bongs and Bentleys. You know, Post isn't a guy I get horny for when he drops, but I definitely appreciate his talent and his music. The album kind of details rich people problems, which is why it's called 12 Carat Toothache. The happy, sad song concept was kind of corny throughout. I will point that out, but it's alright. I'm not a huge fan of Post Malone rapping. I would much rather hear him melodize. He rapped a couple times. I was like, okay, you know, you had White Iverson, but that's it. His music kind of sounds like Rude 21 music. You know, you can take that as you will. I mean, this album, I mean, it also appears very musical, very conceptual. I mean, I'm glad I waited for the deluxe to review this. I mean, it's a very, very low-key deluxe. He didn't really, I was also on vacation, so I was kind of living under a rock, but he didn't really market the deluxe or the album as a whole. And for an album that wasn't marketed, kind of under the radar, maybe he's tired of being mainstream. It was pretty good. But anyways, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Quick outro, we're going to be talking about weekly track roundup, but obviously I'm going to throw you guys off. I'm going to give you guys a different title for that, but I'm out. Hopefully you enjoyed my review of the new Post Malone album. If you like videos in this format,